These are some of the Venice neighborhoods that nobody talks about, but they really should. And the first one is Edgewood. Edgewood, I love. So, Edgewood's homes, you're generally talking being, I'd say about 80s, 90s, maybe early 2000s, somewhere in that range, give or take. You know, there's some outliers, but that's the general age range that you're looking at. The reason I like Edgewood, though, is because a lot of the yards there tend to be pretty big, which is nice, and the location, to me, is spectacular. First of all, you got the Foxworthy campus, I believe is what it's called. It's like a huge park with lots of tennis courts, pickleball, a whole bunch of stuff there. Great park. There's a Boys and Girls Club really nearby that. You've got Mundy Park, which is a smaller park, but has a baseball diamond, lots of oak trees with lots of shade, and a, just big open grassy area, nice little playground there. But then on top of that, like that's just the stuff that's there. But on top of that, you've got yourself really quick access to Venice Island, which is, I think, awesome. A lot of the commercial stuff on the north end of Venice is also going to be very nearby. And so obviously with being close to Venice Island, that also puts you really close to beaches. You're talking like a 10-ish minute drive, give or take. Awesome. So you can see how all the awesomes are stacking up here. And then what I like is being on the north end of Venice, it's going to make it a little bit quicker for you to get up to Sarasota if you want to, for some more big city type stuff, big-ish city type stuff. Just about any shopping you could want is up in Sarasota, or, the UTC shopping area, the UTC mall, the whole shopping district there's just got so much shops and restaurants. And that area, I think, is just very well positioned to kind of give you the best of both worlds. And if you're a little bit more kind of worried about, hurricanes and things like that, it positions you also a little bit more inland. Like I said, be for you this way, inland. So you don't have to worry quite as much. Obviously, being in a beach city in general, there's going to be a little bit of risk, but if you're worried about like the storm surge and things like that, that'll generally put you in a much safer area, at least compared to being right on Venice Island or right by the water. And even for that matter, it's like, even with Hurricane Ian, like we saw a storm surge come pretty far inland, but it isn't like it went over the entire island. So for it to make it all the way to Edgewood would have to be a pretty insane hurricane, and Ian was pretty insane. Next area that I think is definitely not talked about enough, and we've talked about it a lot on the channel, so because of that, I want to highlight one specific neighborhood. And this is a new trail. I'm in Lemon Bay Park and Environmental Center. In case you're wondering, I always get comments from people asking where I'm walking on in these videos, so I'm trying to do a better job of telling you that. In North Venice, which is the area we've been talking about a lot and I think doesn't get talked about enough, again, similar to Edgewood, kind of nice because it positions you closer to 75, quicker to get to Sarasota, but on top of that, you're getting pretty quick access still to beaches, with Newcomers Beach is about a 15-minute drive. And so you put all that together and you got yourself a nice little location and a lot of new construction opportunities. I always explain it's kind of like Wellen Park, but it's a little less cohesive and master planned and interconnected, and there's not all the golf cart lanes and things like that. Puts you really close to the brand new Sarasota Memorial Hospital as well. I shouldn't say brand new anymore. It's like 2 or 3 years old at this point, but pretty new. And so all that together is a pretty enticing proposition. Plus, like with new construction, at least right now at the time of filming this in late 20 or mid-late 2025, there's some incentives to be had with new construction. So that's a pretty huge win on that front, if you ask me. So that's why I would say North Venice is a pretty huge one worth considering. This is kind of new. I haven't seen this over here. I haven't got this back far in here before. Anyways, the one I want to put on to your radar, because it's very under the radar, I haven't seen anyone else talk about it. We've been meaning to get a video there. Hopefully we'll try to give you some tours of the homes there soon. It's MI Homes community, really near that new-ish hospital called Cassata Lakes. And it's just kind of nice because it's kind of tucked in. It's pretty close to the hospital, but not so close that, honestly, we've unfortunately had to spend some time at the hospital over the last couple years. And even being in the hospital, I haven't really heard any sirens. So I don't know what that's about, but if you were worried about that, one, I haven't heard any sirens, and that was being in the hospital, but two, it's still far enough away that I don't think you would really hear any of that. And on top of that, I think this area is just kind of exciting just because more of North Venice is getting developed and the hospital's coming in there and developing a little bit more and things like that and growing and expanding. You're seeing more commercial stuff come to that area as well. So I think you put all that together and it's a pretty exciting area as a whole. And I think the upside, you know, as far as appreciation is pretty good. Maybe not right now because the market is kind of weird, but you give it 5-10 years, I think you're going to be doing pretty well. The next one, and we did a video on it, so go ahead and check out our channel. Criminally underviewed video in my opinion, because it's a nice neighborhood. It's Venice Gardens. By the way, if you're looking to buy or sell in Venice or anywhere actually from Sarasota down to the Port Charlotte, Inglewood areas, or the entire Orlando metro, we do have a real estate team. Call or text us 941-221-1897 at any time. We helped a lot of people move to the area, avoid mistakes, save a lot of money, and get answers to questions that sometimes are impossible to find online, and we would love to help you too. But Venice Gardens, I like a lot. So a lot of people, usually when we talk about Venice, there's like two main areas that just about everyone talks about. Well, three, I guess. One would be Venice proper. So when people say Venice, they're usually talking Venice Island and or just kind of Venice as a whole, and it includes Venice Gardens and all these other areas that I'm talking about. The other one that a lot of people talk about would be South Venice, which there's some similarities between South Venice and Venice Gardens. And then the third would be, and I know this is going to trigger some people, and I'm not saying this is or is not Venice, but Wellen Park. But a lot of people will put YouTube videos out and say, this is Venice. A lot of the sales agents there like to say it's Venice. But the reality is it's Venice addresses, but the like utilities and the whole area was pretty much built by Northport, and your taxes would be through Northport. Your garbage gets picked up by Northport. But really, Wellen Park just kind of feels like its own thing. That's just my personal opinion. So if you want to consider it Venice or Northport, I really don't care as long as you know what it is. And that's, you know, and you know what you're getting into if you're looking to move there. And again, if you are looking to move there, we can help you. That being said, Venice Gardens. Again, pretty nice size yards in a lot of the homes. I would say somewhat comparable to Edgewood as far as that goes. A little bit more sidewalks in South Venice. Homes are generally going to steer in, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s. Maybe early 2000s, not a whole lot of that though. Some maybe even a little bit older than the 70s, but generally that's kind of the age range you're looking at. But a lot of character and charm in a lot of those homes. There's a lot that we've walked through with clients, and I'm just like, man, this house is just so cool. There's just so much character and touches to them that a lot of times I really like. I like a lot of older homes for that. The other thing to consider is location-wise is pretty awesome. So there is a pretty new, I wouldn't say it's brand new anymore, it's probably about 4 or 5 years old, strip shopping center with a tropical smoothie cafe, a joint chiropractic. There's a Burlington, a Marshall's, pineapple tequila Mexican restaurant, just a whole bunch of parlor donuts, all kinds of stuff right there, which is awesome. It's nice to be really close to all that. A lot of your, an Aldi grocery store, of course, worth mentioning. So yeah, just a lot of stuff there that it's great to have really close nearby, and pretty quick access to Venice Island and Venice beaches. Again, about a 5-minute drive maybe if you're on the really close end by that strip shopping area. That's literally really close to the bridge to get across to the island. So awesome for that, and a lot of homes with character and charm. Next community, and before I get into it, I just thought of something I should point out. If you are looking at something new construction wise in like Wellen Park or North Venice, and you do want us to help you out, because we've been able to help some people save a lot of money. In fact, one client, $90,000 we helped them save. But if you go to the builder's agent and start getting through the contract process, or even just go talk to them and sign up on their little form, and then you try to get a hold of us after, there's a really good chance we're not gonna be able to help you at that point. So if you do want us to help you, get a hold of us first, and then we can help you go through that process and make sure, you know, the whole relationship is being dealt with the right way and things like that, as far as to help you save the most money and that we can help you. That being said, the next community is a planned community, but is not a new construction community, but it's not that old either. Most of the homes in there, and this is a nice community because there's different home options, but they're generally gonna be, I'd say, late 90s, early 2000s, or maybe a little bit newer. And it's Plantation Golf and Country Club. Awesome because golf country club. But on top of that, nice location because you're not too far from the South Venice shopping area with like your Walmart, your Target, Publix, just so much stuff in that strip. Trying to think, Skillets is a great breakfast restaurant in there. There's Panda Express and McDonald's and more big chains, and you know, Chili's and Applebee's, and you know, there's a lot of the bigger chain type stuff, but a little bit of mom and pop stuff mixed in there as well. But it also positions you really, really close to be able to get to Wellen Park. Their exciting new downtown. Phase 1 of that is done, and phase 2 is now being built, which is really going to expand to it and add a lot more shopping and restaurants. You got your Costco in Wellen Park now, so that's been there for a couple years. So a lot of awesome options for shopping nearby there. But the other thing that's cool about it is there's more like townhomes and condos and things like that in this community as well. So if you want to go more that style of lifestyle, there's just not a lot of that off of Venice Island. Venice Island does have a fair amount of that kind of stuff, more condos I'd say than townhomes. But if you're looking for something like that and you can't afford or don't want to be on Venice Island for some reason, then there you go. There's a great option, and it still puts you really close to shopping and things like that. And you're not too far from being able to get to Venice Island as well. You know, probably about 10 to 15 minute drive. Okay, continuing on, very near actually Plantation is like the Venice East area. And again, homes in that area are gonna steer about similar age, a little bit older though as a whole, I would say. Couple different options there as far as types of communities and things like that. But I won't go too in depth on this one just because location wise, a lot of similar, you know, pros and cons, just a little bit less of that, you know, super planned community feel that Plantation has. But yeah, location wise, can't beat it. And just one that really goes under the radar, no one ever really talks about. And I think part of it is because, you know, years ago it was kind of further from a lot of the stuff you would want to do. But now that you've got a lot more shopping kind of in the Wellen Park area coming, and you've got more stuff, you know, in that area by Venice Gardens, that's a little bit closer now. Now that area is a little bit more enticing, you know, and it's kind of like stuff is growing around it to make it a little bit more enticing. So I think it's went under the radar for a really long time. But if you want to be really near Wellen Park and maybe not be in a, you know, super master plan, super strict HOA community, and there are some HOA communities in Venice East as well, don't get me wrong, but if you want an option that's maybe not quite on that route, great option to put into consideration, and you could still have quick access to everything that Wellen Park has to offer. Well, I shouldn't say everything. If there's something in an actual planned community, you won't have access to that, but like the downtown and all the shopping and restaurants, you'll have access to that because that's for everyone. And then also sort of on the east side, a little bit more north, kind of off of Jacaranda, you've got, well, this has just always been like for us a community we really like. Me and my wife Haiti, who is an actual real estate agent, I just do these videos and stuff and kind of can help you with more of the macro side of things when it comes to contracts and details and legal stuff and nitty gritty. She's the person for that. But we've always liked this community just because of the vibe. Number one of it, it just seems really well taken care of and pleasant. Lots of shade throughout the community. And then on top of that, it's just got a cool layout because there's like this circle pond that when you enter, you go around, and off of it, there's like all these offshoot roads, and each one will take you into these separate pockets that have completely different feels, but they're all part of one community. So some will have more Spanish style homes. Some are more like, you know, villas and things like that, you know, so there's different ways to live within this community, and it's called Chestnut Creek. And so there's some that got your more typical suburban feel. The homes in there will range anywhere from like, I'd say like 80s to the early 2000s. And so just a really great neighborhood, nice vibe, tucked in more, so it's pretty quiet in that area, but you're still, again, pretty close to access most things that you want to access. I mean, you could really say that for Venice as a whole. Just about anything you would want to get to anywhere in Venice that you're living, you could get to the other side or thing that's on the other end in about 15 minutes, maybe in snowbird season with lots of traffic, 20 minutes. So driving and getting around Venice is not too big of a deal and not too hard no matter where you are. But yeah, Chestnut Creek is tucked in a little bit further away from a lot of the main shopping hub stuff that I've talked about. But again, like you're talking like a 5-10 minute drive. Some of the other ones, you know, you're gonna be able to get to some of those other things a little bit quicker. Like Plantation and Venice East, you can get to like the south end of shopping stuff in like probably like 5 minutes, maybe less. And then Wellen Park from those areas, you know, now you're talking like a 10-15 minute drive, give or take. Probably about 10-minute drive actually, because you are pretty close to all those right on Tamiami there. So yeah, just to kind of give you some context of some of those locations, I guess, a little bit, flesh that out a little bit more for you. But again, everyone's different. This is definitely not an exhaustive list of all the, you know, under the radar communities. There's so many little like smaller HOA communities with small HOA fees. You've got, of course, South Venice, Venice Island, and just all these other maybe even higher priced HOA communities or other golf and country clubs and things like that. There's just a ton of options that, you know, like we could make videos about all of them individually, but like even like some of the ones I'm covering here, like they're established communities and they're nice communities. So a lot of people tend to like to stay in them. So it's not super common for a lot of places to come on the market. So us making a lot of videos about individual communities doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, just because you might say, oh, I really like that community, but there might not be anything available, you know, when you're looking to actually buy a home there. But I just want you to understand, and this is why I'm saying this, that just because maybe one of these, you're like, oh, Jesse talked about in that video, I really want to live there, it sounds pleasant, and maybe, you know, we'll have some B-roll video to show it and you like the way it looks. There's a really good chance there's something else that scratches a lot of the itches and has a similar look and feel and aesthetic and things that you're looking for as the ones that I'm giving you in this list that aren't being mentioned anywhere on YouTube or anywhere. And again, that's why we always say, get a hold of us. We can kind of help you figure out, you know, some different options out there. And a lot of that'll come like when you start getting down to the home search side of things, you'll be like, okay, this is kind of the type of home I'm looking for. I want to be in a community or I don't, or whatever the case may be. And when you get down to that part of the process, now you're more or less going to be like, okay, these homes are going to come on your radar and they happen to be in this community, this community, this community. Be like, oh, I never heard of that community before, but I actually do really, really like it. There's a really good chance of that. And one final thought, I just thought of this because I started talking HOAs and I figured I should put that on your radar because I know it is a big thing for a lot of people, HOA versus non-HOA. A lot of North Venice, you're going to talk about having an HOA. Edgewood, no HOA. Venice Gardens, no HOA. There's an optional like community fee thing that can get you access to like a community pool and park. Plantation Golf and Country Club, there is an HOA. Venice East, depends on the part that you're in of it. And Chestnut Creek, HOA in all the different pockets in there. But again, it's like one of those lower cost HOAs. And I think that's all of them that I talked about in this video. But as always, get a hold of our team if you are looking to buy or sell a home in the area, and we can kind of help you navigate the process, understand all the little details about if there's an HOA or not, and if it fits what you're looking for, and getting everything that you want, or at least as much as you can that fits within your budget as possible. We would love to help you out and help you save a lot of money and avoid mistakes. 941-221-1897. Call or text us at any time. And if you want to know more about what it is like to live in Venice, Florida, check out this video right here. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and live breezy.